There's certain things that you have to have in place that you're doing every week, every day that are going to allow you to be successful in this business. I would say number one would be, getting the leads.
Not having appointments doesn't mean you can't do well. And the reality is there's two kinds of people in the world. There's the people that find an excuse, and then there's the people that find a way. So just because you don't have an appointment doesn't mean you can't have a good day.
Another thing that's important is going to work on the same time every day. For example, I'm going into work right now and I'm going to get to my first house at about 10 o'clock. And I plan on working today until 6 o'clock. Um, and I feel like for new agents, that's a really important thing to have in place, because you want to, in a similar way like you would be an employee as a business owner, you have to give yourself hours. You have to be kind of like a strict boss.
All right, I think that's enough about that. I know there's a way to see who's on the call. I can see that there's some people on the call. Just don't know how to see the list. I'm supposed to have a guest on today. I think I've been invited in the right way, but don't see him on here yet. So let's hope the guest gets on here soon. But all right, guys, thank you so much for getting on the call. As I put in the message, this is my first time using this application, so expect some technical difficulties. So good morning, good morning, good morning. If you are looking for the morning pursuit call, you've come to the right place at the wrong time. There's a new sheriff in town today. The inmates are running the prison today. So if this is one of your first morning despair calls, don't take everything I say too seriously and try not to be offended, because that means you're a big giant sissy and you're not gonna make it selling insurance door to door. Woo! Talking to somebody. So for all you new and experienced agents, remember, work hard, study hard, follow the system, or sling the Lord's chicken at Chick-fil-A in the next 4 weeks. Woo! So this is the Morning Despair Call. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yours truly, the host with the most, Quintin. Give that man a raise or a fireball, Roberts. And now the moment everybody's been dreading. Look out, it's me, LB Triple P, your platter playing papa. There were none before me, there will be none after me. That makes me the one and only young and single of the mingle, certified, bona fide, and indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out now, y'all. I'm your love man. Whew, out of breath. Now, as I mentioned before, this is normally the place for the morning pursuit call, where we promote peace of mind. 2, we begin again. And number 3, we pursue excellence. But here at the morning despair call, we quit when things get tough. We only work when we feel like it. We bitch about our territories and make excuses for everything. And then number 4, when you don't know who to have on the call, you go ahead and call up one of the Dykuses. That's right. We're supposed to be having, oh, wait a minute. There he is. I think I let him in the call. I'm going to keep him muted for a little bit while we do our stats, and I'm working on a new intro. So let me go ahead and grab some water on this. But all right, I think we got it going. I think I'm figuring some things out on here. So this morning we are going to witness the most anticipated event of the week, the Daily Stats Leaderboard Roll Call. Insurance fans, are you ready for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world from the capital city of the Morning Despair Call, Fisher, Texas? Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. Let's see. I think Robert is already on the call. Let's see if he is. Robert, can you hear me?
Good morning, Quintin. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Man, am I glad you are on the call, because I had nothing prepared if you didn't get on the call. So I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Perfect.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think we want to try to get the Dykuses on as often as we can. They are just doing some incredible things on growing their book of business without using leads, doing it as cheaply as possible with things like annual reviews, referrals, making sure they're adding on their Medicare. But Robert, how are things going?
Things are going very well. I've been cross-selling with life insurance and Medicare, and Joanna has been focusing solely on Medicare for these next couple of weeks. She ordered Medicare only leads, direct mail, and she's been crushing it with those. I think just these past like 4 or 5 days on the field, she's got over like 20 enrollments. So that's been, extremely impressive, very inspiring for me to do more Medicare. I've been doing, cross selling, just meeting people at the door with the yes leads with life insurance. And then if they really don't need help with life insurance, then as a last ditch effort, I'm pivoting to Medicare. And then I'm noticing that I can get in a lot more doors like that. Somebody tells me no for life insurance and they genuinely don't need any help, then I can provide value another way with Medicare. And then next thing you know, I'm in the door getting their MBI number.
There you go. And for all you newly married folks out there, if you want to make your wife very happy and you get on the call, the first thing you need to do is just praise your wife and talk about how great she is. So, a wise man, he is young in years, but a wise beyond his age, Mr. Robert Dykes. And for all of you guys that are newer and you don't know who he is, he came on board a couple of years ago and really got off to a very slow start. Wasn't sure he was going to even make it through the licensing and application process. Had a lot of help with Naomi getting him on board and going, and I don't know if he necessarily resisted the process, but just didn't get off to the start that he wanted. But then, we may have lost him for a second here. But he ended up really turning things around and had an incredible year last year. I think what were you at last year, Robert?
Let me see. Last year, I think I was at like 330, 320 around there.
That's awesome. And again, I know you're the thing that I can really appreciate about you and Jayana both is you guys are never satisfied with where you're at. You're always looking to grow, always looking to improve, and you guys just kind of have that mindset that you want to master your craft and you just want to get better. You're never satisfied with where things are at. Uh, I know you're looking to grow your Medicare book. I know you're looking to grow your rental property business as well, and hopefully someday soon you're looking to grow your family as well. But what I did want to have you on to talk about is, Pedro talks a lot about the boring basics. And when I asked you, what's going on, or what do you think you could share, or what do you think you could talk about, and you talked about just mastering the mundane. And so I just wanted you to kind of go through some of the things that you do on a day to day or weekly basis that add up and help you get to the point where you are selling 330,000 in a year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it comes down to a lot of different things. There's certain things that you have to have in place that you're doing every week, every day that are going to allow you to be successful in this business. I would say number one would be, getting the leads. You have to order leads on a consistent basis. The leads are your fuel. Leads are your pipeline. And without any leads, you don't have the opportunity to get that much new business. Um, Another reason why leads are important is because if you have an appointment setter and you're only getting about, 40 to 60 leads a week, that's probably not going to be enough with, these appointment setters setting for the yes leads. So you need to get consistent leads so that you can give your appointment setter enough fuel to get a bunch of appointments on your calendar. Now, this week for me is a little interesting because um, it's one of those weeks where you order a bunch of leads and people are just really tough on the phone. Is from what I'm hearing from my appointment setter, has not really been able to set very many appointments. Probably only like 4 or 5 throughout the whole week so far. Um, Now, there's either one of two things you can do about that. Either you can, complain and say, "Hey, I don't have any appointments. That's why I can't be successful," which is what I kind of used to do. Or you can just do what you have to do the right thing, and go door knock and go leave, sticky notes behind at people's houses, and when they call you, go straight over to their house and see how you can help. Um, Door knocking is a great way to get new business, and yeah, just because you don't have any appointments doesn't mean you can't go out and door knock and get after it. I think at this week so far, I'm at like over 60 or 70.
Door knocks?
Yeah,
Oh man. And I wanted to stop and kind of ask you a couple questions about some of the things you just said. Well, the first thing I made a note of is when you said, not having appointments doesn't mean you can't do well. And the reality is there's two kinds of people in the world. There's the people that find an excuse, and then there's the people that find a way. So just because you don't have an appointment doesn't mean you can't have a good day. In fact, I would say a lot of times, I feel like I was looking at the stats. I remember like a couple of weeks ago, it was Nate, and he had like, I think he went 0 for 7 or whatever on his appointments, but he had like a $4,000 day off of just door knocking. That being said, when you started off, you did not have an appointment setter, did you?
that's right. Yeah, when I started off, I actually set all of my own appointments. I was actually pretty good at it, I must say. But I would set all my own appointments every Monday and Wednesday. I was following the Cardinal schedule. And, sure enough, I would get upwards of 12, 16 appointments a week. And yeah, that was before I had, any kind of appointment setter, before I even thought about doing that. I went ahead and did it myself, and it worked out very well.
Absolutely. And early on in your career, obviously agents weren't getting nearly as many leads as they are now. And I think there's a bit of an evolution that most agents will see in their career. To me, I think once somebody gets as experienced as you, as Gianna, as Nate, as Lucas, any of these top people that we have that are on the call regularly, they're at the point where they've earned their way up to a really good contract, which all of you guys are able to do, and they're at the point where really what they view as the opportunity cost of their time of door knocking. They just wanna have as many appointments as possible. But you gotta earn your way to that point. The other thing is, I think one of the mistakes I think we've made as an agency with all these large volume of leads that we were giving agents and telling them to go run their appointments. What was happening, I think, is that people were not mastering the skill of the door knock on how to get in the door. And so I think people that came on board with a bunch of appointments early on, they didn't really understand that, or they didn't learn that. And it was kind of a skill deficit. It was the unintended consequences of giving so many people so many leads and so many appointments that they didn't understand or master the door knock. And that's where a ton of premium can come from. And to your point, Robert, you can have a really good career, but that doesn't mean you're not going to have crappy days with your appointments. But if you have a crappy day with appointments, and that means you don't work that day or you don't sell anything, then I'm guessing you probably would have sold easily half as much as you did. Even if more than half your premium comes from appointments, the reality is a lot of times that extra momentum that you get from a sale off of a door knock, that's gonna that's gonna boost your confidence, gonna boost your momentum. That's gonna make you more effective both for next future door knocks as well as appointments. Um, and then talk to me about why it's important to continue to get fresh leads every single week. Did you ever have a kind of a phase in your career where you had some excess leads, you didn't wanna spend the money, so you just decided to work the stuff that you'd had from the previous weeks without getting anything new?
Yeah, I definitely did. To answer your question, before I would get, a certain amount of leads in a week, and like 50 or 60, and then I didn't really get too many appointments through that. So I would just keep on knocking the same people that I've already tried to see, 2 or even 3 times. And the issue with that is like, if somebody doesn't give you a ring after the first time you've left a sticky note, then either that person doesn't live there anymore, or that person is just not, they're just not very open minded, or they're just too busy. And to me, that's not really a prospect. And so what I do now is I just give everybody, one chance. I knock on people's doors once. I leave a sticky note, if they, and the reason why I do that is because I have too many leads to see, not enough time. Uh, and so the reason why I do that is because there's just too many people to see, and I can only see a certain amount of people in the amount of time that I have in the field. And what that allows me to do is that gives me a very good like buying atmosphere. Um, I'm not relying on every single lead to close. I'm only looking for the open-minded people.
Gotcha. And what are some of the other kind of mastering the mundane things that you're doing on a daily and weekly basis? So you mentioned making sure you're buying leads, fueling your appointment setter. Um, Anything else that you find yourself focusing on?
Yeah, I would say another thing that's important is going to work um, on the same time every day. For example, I'm going into work right now, and I'm going to get to my first house at about 10 o'clock. And I plan on working today until 6 o'clock. Um, and I feel like for new agents, that's a really important thing to have in place because you want to, in a similar way, like you would be an employee as a business owner. You have to give yourself hours. You have to be kind of like a strict boss. Um, you don't want to be lenient on your schedule. You don't want to just take a day off because you had a $5,000 day the day before. That would be poor decision making, poor judgment. And so, yeah, I would say that just going to work at the same time and having a set schedule. Like I know now that I work Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6, and the first 2 Saturdays of the week I'm working. The last 2 Saturdays of the week I'm off.
All right. Nice. How did you come up with that schedule? Is it based upon goals that you have, like financial goals or production goals, or what's driving you to work the hours that you are working?
I would say it definitely is production goals. Um, Gianna and I are working towards getting a fourplex in the very near future. We're already in conversation with tax people and a mortgage guy. And so just being able to have the money to be able to afford that, for the down payment and everything like that is a big motivation to why I work so much. You are the person who gets to decide about how, you want your life to be. And so if you can have it take as long as you want to take to reach your goals. And if I have goals in mind, I want to get to them as fast as possible. So that would be the reason why I work so hard, I'd say.
Absolutely. And again, a lot of times I think when people struggle to work, they struggle to get out the door, they struggle to start, they struggle to keep working hard when they've had a good week, or they struggle to push through when they're having a slow week. A lot of times it's because they have no goals. They have no goals, which, like your leads are the fuel to writing insurance, your goals are going to be the fuel to your motivation. So if you don't have any goals, you don't have a production goal, you don't have a financial goal, you don't have a place you want to be at a year from now or 5 years from now, then you're basically just gonna wake up and you're gonna be going through the motions because what you're doing in any given day isn't attached to anything larger than yourself. So if you have not taken the time to think through some goals and something that's meaningful for you, I would take the time to do that and then tell people about it. The more people you tell, the better off you'll be. Kind of back to some of the things that you were talking about a minute ago, some of the mundane things, whether it's a solid start time, a solid finish time, making sure you're door knocking in between houses, making sure you're buying plenty of leads. Of those, as a newer agent, what did you struggle with the most?
Mm. Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I would say in the beginning, one of the harder things to do is like, I think the schedule was pretty hard for me to get around in the very beginning, working long hours until, 6, 7 o'clock. Um, and in the very beginning, like that I was working, I did understand one concept, and that is that you have to make up in numbers what you lack in skill. I always say this for new agents, and it's really important to do that because again, you can have it take as long as you want to get to your goals. And so as a new agent, you have to get over that learning curve as fast as possible. Pedro talks about it all the time. You want to get to your first 100,000 demos, presentations as soon as you can. And so, even understanding that, the schedule was still a little bit difficult for me in the beginning, but, you get around to it. You understand this is the job. This is what I have to do. If I'm going to be the exception in my family and the people around me, um, then what I have to do has to be exceptional. And that only comes with time, effort, skill.
How about for you? When do you feel like it started to actually click when you felt like you actually became pretty good at the job, you started not just getting by and surviving, but you actually started to make a little bit extra money, you had savings, you could see kind of the light. How long did that take you?
I would say it was about 3 to 6 months that I really started seeing that. I think in the very beginning, you're kind of just even maybe going like negative or breaking even from your leads. And then when you really start building that skill, um, then you're able to have a much higher closing percentage. And when you have a higher closing percentage, you're closing more of the leads that you paid money for. And so you're getting more money out. At the very beginning, maybe you put $1 in, you get $1 and 20 cents back. But when you get more skilled, you put $1 in, you get $2 back, $3 back, $5 back. So yeah, I would say around 3 to 6 months was really when it started picking up for me. I do kind of want to share a quote here by Jim Rohn, the GOAT. He says, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day." And that applies to any area of your life, your work, your faith, relationships, uh, and specifically in sales. You got to have those few disciplines that are practiced every day, and that's what's going to lead you to success.
Nice. Yeah, I've kinda heard that a similar version of that quote, which is like, "Success is never owned, it's rented, and rent is due every day." And so, again, if you're out there and you had a crappy day yesterday, who cares? Who cares? Get out there, work hard again, you will get there, you'll get this thing figured out. Um I guess for you, what do you feel like is the skill that that changed for you 3 to 6 months into your career when you started to be a lot better? Like, what aspect of the cycle of the sale, or was it more something mental that clicked or changed for you? Did you feel like you just got better at closing or finding a need, or what was it that kinda caused that increase in production from say, like, a technical standpoint?
Yeah, from a technical standpoint, it's a really good question. I think you did nail it on one of the things that you said. Finding a need is extremely important to do within the first few minutes of when you're visiting with somebody. And that was something that I got really good at, just asking great questions. The level of responses that you're going to get are going to improve by how good your questions are. You've got to ask good questions to get good answers. Why was this information important to you? What's got you thinking about final expenses? Who would your beneficiary be? Uh, do you believe in a burial or a cremation? And then I think another thing as well, it's really like slowing down with people is extremely important too. You've got to be able to slow down and love the person that you're with. You're fast in between houses, but you love the person that you're with. You love on the person that you're with. And that's going to allow you to really find what they need and fill that need the best that you can.
Awesome. Well, hey, we're right at time. Unless you got something else to add, I think that's a great place to end. Love the person you're with, help the people you're with, and you'll be able to go to sleep. Put your head on the pillow at night and go to bed. Would Robert, anything else you want to add, or you want to get going and get to that first house?
Yeah, well, I'm heading to my first house now, but yeah, just again for all the new agents out there, maybe even for the experienced agents, just keep your head up, keep doing the right thing, keep doing as we're taught, and we'll we'll see that success come in no time.
Awesome, Robert. Thanks for getting on the call. Good luck today, and we'll see you again soon.